Hey guys, I'm back, and this is Nonso Speaks. I'm Nonso, and I have a simple assignment. My job is to be in your face. And guess what? I'm the constant reminder of what God has called you to do. I'm the constant reminder of that project you've been stalling on. I'm the constant reminder of that thing you're afraid to accomplish. And I'm the constant reminder that you can get it done. And that's why I'm back. In this video, I'm going to be sharing something that has changed my perception, that has changed my mentality, and that has helped me face my fears and take on projects without being afraid. One of the key things I want to deal with in this video is how to face your fears in setting out on what God has called you to do, in setting out on that dream of yours. And it's the fact that the beginning always looks scary. The beginning always looks uncertain. The beginning sometimes may be discouraging, but really, that's where you need to get it right. Now, sometimes we don't want to make mistakes. I don't know if you've been there before, but yeah, I've been there. Sometimes you don't want to make mistakes. You're wondering, what if I blow it, right? And it gets intimidating when you see others out there doing the same thing and doing it with some level of perfection and ease. And, there's always a tendency to want to start at that level, okay? Wow, I love this guy's videos. He has the best cam, he has the best lighting, he has all of that. Wow, I love this program. I love this business, this project. They have the best staff. They have a clean office. They have a mobile app that is, that has 1 million subscribers. What is it? There are things you see out there that can get you intimidated. And if you are not careful, they will hinder you. You get frozen. You get frozen in fear and unable to start out because you don't want to flop. You don't want to make a mistake. The first thing I'd say is don't be afraid of failure. Failure only points you to something you are not aware of. Failure only points you to a mistake that you need to correct, or failure only points you to a point of ignorance where you need knowledge. And once you get it, it's not over till you give up. Now, while working on this video, I came across 2 Bible stories that you probably might have heard or you probably might have read. And, it was quite inspirational. The first story is the story of Jephthah, in the book of Judges. Now, Jephthah was one of those judges that God used at a certain time to lead the Israelites and to help them defeat their enemies. Jephthah happened to be the son of a prostitute, right? Now, something interesting happened at the early part of Jephthah's assignment, and I'm sure you would also find it insightful, and that was in Judges 11 verse 3. I'll read the Amplified version. And it says, "Then Jephthah fled from his brothers and lived in the land of Tob, and worthless and unprincipled men gathered around Jephthah. And they went out on raids with him." Let's take it back a bit. So a lot had happened, Jephthah had issues and he fled, right? I don't want to go into all of the backstory, but you can look it up from Judges 11. Now, in verse 3, he went to the land of Tob, and it says worthless and unprincipled men, probably what you would call, what people would call riffraffs, people you'd think were low lives. And they came to Jephthah in that season of his life, and they went on raids with him. One of the things you would understand about that phase was this was the phase where Jephthah learned leadership. This was the phase where Jephthah built his courage. This was the phase where Jephthah built his skills in fighting, because at that point, he had people who were nobodies. He had people who were probably not warriors, people who had all their issues in life come to him, and they went through that phase together till Jephthah came out stronger, came out as a leader, and he also raised men that were mighty. And then you go on to read about Jephthah's exploits. But there was something about that phase. They came to Jephthah, and then they went on raids with Jephthah. So they went on little battles. I mean, what were these raids? Maybe they went out to hunt, went out to get animals, went out for a local brawl with some other gang. Whatever it was little tasks, little raids, little projects, little outings here and there. And this was where Jephthah built a bond. This was where Jephthah built his leadership skills, where he built his courage, where he built these men that came to him. They were his first project. Okay? Now, before Jephthah could lead the whole army of Israel, that's a great army of warriors, his first assignment were these men, these nobodies. And he did it honorably. And you can read up the story to see the exploits that God did with Jephthah. Another interesting story is the story of David, King David. Another interesting guy, and I love this guy so much because, the Bible describes him as a man after God's heart. Now, I would think David had several of these moments, right? Because the first one we know about is the story of when he fought the lion and the bear, right? And, by the time he came and saw Goliath taunting, and mocking the Israelites, he came and said, you know what? The God that gave me victory over the lion and the bear, is the same God that will give me victory over this worthless Philistine, the guy who dares to insult, the armies of Israel and all of that. From that little experience, right? He came out with boldness, with trust in God, and took on Goliath. Amazing side. Now, in all of that, David was in charge of a part of the army. Saul put him in charge, and he had gone out and fought some battles and had some level of victory. But mind you, he wasn't yet king, right? Yeah, he was still on that journey. Now, something interesting happened. Of course, things went sour. Saul became jealous. David had to flee and run away. And somewhere along the line, David came to a cave called Adullam. I'm going to tell you something interesting that happened at the cave of Adullam, where David ran and fled to, right? It says in 1 Samuel 22 verse 2 that everyone who was suffering hardship, and everyone who was in debt, and everyone who was discontented gathered to him. I'm reading from the Amplified Version. And he became captain over them. And there were about 400 men with him. Wow. So, the last time it was quite different because, David just came and Saul just gave him an army, So, he never really did much in building that army. They gave him a ready-made army. All right. They gave him soldiers. He never really trained. So he just had to come and lead. And that was some experience. With that, David still killed more enemies than Saul. And that's what led to the hit track where they said David had killed, I think, his tens of thousands and Saul his thousands and all of that. And that's why Saul became jealous, right? But there was still some part of his training that was missing. And so in the cave of Adullam, people that were in debt. Why David? Why? People that were discontented, people that were discouraged, people that had their issues came to David. To do what? That's the popular meme, right? To do what? And the Bible clearly says, and David became captain over them. To become a captain over these guys that had issues wasn't merely David asserting his authority. It was David helping them to resolve their issues. it was David being a leader over these ones. And then from there, David captained them and he raised 400 men. That was one of the leadership schools of David. You know, the Goliath and the bear had its own place, but this was a personal leadership school for David, who was going on later to become the king of Israel. He had men from scratch, and that leads me to the theme of this video, the sparring partner. Who's a sparring partner? Now, I'm not a full-time fan of boxing, right? But I do have a lot of friends who are big fans of boxing, and maybe every now or then I'd love to watch an Anthony Joshua match, or probably just watch the highlights and go with the flow, right? But boxing is quite an amazing sport. I mean, people go out there, they slug it out and sustain injuries and all of that, and men see fights, men happy. Yeah, but really, what do you guys enjoy in boxing? But I mean, yeah, the point is, in boxing, there is a person called the sparring partner. And who's the sparring partner? The sparring partner is that guy that practices with the boxer and gets in a fight with him. Except that they don't throw hard hits, but the sparring partner takes blows, tries to dodge, and also gets into some fight with little damage, right, with the main boxer. But they go hard sometimes, really. They go hard to train the boxer. Now, they help him get his punches right. They help him work on his skills. They help him work on different parts of how to take hits in the upper part of the body, being able to take punches and not be thrown off balance, right? And not be knocked out. And it's a very critical part. The sparring partner has a lot to play in the outcome of the final match. The sparring partner is like the one that helps you with the little rehearsals before the main fight. And so sometimes either a sparring partner or a sparring phase or whatever it is that helps you rehearse for the big stage. I like to call it a sparring phase. And that phase requires all of your commitment. That phase requires all of your attention, because what you learn from that phase will determine how well you succeed on the main stage. And another clear example is when you see a lot of the top stars today, a lot of the top celebrities today, even top influencers, you'll find out that these guys had always been in the background. It's always easy to think they just came to the limelight that same day. You see a great artist and you find out he was probably once in the choir, probably a choir leader, a music leader. He was in a band, he was a backup singer for another big artist, probably had 1 album, 2 albums, 3 albums that you never heard about, till the 4th album, probably with 9 tracks, and then 1 track becomes a hit track. And then you find another artist, upcoming artist, in the studio, releases his EP, first 3 tracks, no one's saying anything. Releases another single, hoping to blow, and sometimes you find them in the comment section, like, guys, please watch my video. I mean, you need to proudly carry your craft, right? And then it's discouraged. It's like, this isn't working. I mean, if no one is going to listen to it, then I might as well just stop singing. If no one is going to read my book, you think I might as well stop writing. If no one is going to buy my product, you think I might as well stop selling. If no one is going to subscribe to my mobile app, to my platform, then I might as well stop doing what I'm doing. That's where you get it wrong. There is a sparring phase. And beyond just not seeing the results, there is a phase where you get to work with little things. And maybe you have a dream for a big business, that should be a multi-million-dollar investment or business, and your first customers are paying you in tens of thousands. Your first customers are paying you very little. And you have a big picture, a big dream. it is so easy to despise that phase. It's so easy to despise the people God brings in that phase. The early customers, the early people who believe in your dream. You see yourself in the limelight, and maybe for now, all you get are invitations to schools. Maybe you're being invited to schools, and you're like, no, I'm meant for the O2 Arena. I'm meant to jam stadiums. I'm meant to jam concert halls, and I'm getting invitations to schools. That's your sparring phase. Probably your book is meant to be read by millions, and at the early stage, you have books that are being read by your few followers, 50 people, 100 people, and they're like, well done. And you think this doesn't matter. It does. It does. What you do with your sparring phase determines a lot. And so you wear your badge on your chest. You are proud of that moment, you're proud of that phase, and you do it with boldness and with joy.